Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And today, guys, we are going to be continuing our AFL 2022 three-game match reviews. Now, in today's video, we have got a massive 3 games to review. I would tell you, probably one of the biggest match reviews all year. All 3 of these games actually had a really important meaning, and personally learned a lot out of these 3 games. Now, unfortunately enough, I didn't really have any time to watch these 2 games on Saturday. I watched a little bit of this one, none of this game, of course, and I watched a little bit of this one. So I didn't really watch a lot of these games, but I'll just be going over my thoughts again. But anyway, in today's video, the match reviews, the 3 games. We've got West Coast versus Richmond, Geelong versus Fremantle, and Adelaide versus GWS, and I'll tell you, we learnt a lot from these games. West Coast versus Richmond will be the first game to review. So, West Coast had another dismal performance in the West, going down to the Tigers, 88-56 to Richmond's 25-15, 165. So, the Tigers now take the crown for the biggest win of the year. They beat West Coast by 109. The previous owners were Brisbane by 108 versus North Melbourne. But now, the Tiger Kings are back. And this game, the Tigers were back. They just did everything right. They were really back to a good stage. And, yeah, Grimes was back as well. And West Coast, they just didn't have any intent to play. They just didn't do anything. And the Tigers, they were fantastic. They just smashed the Eagles. In the end, it was quite a boring game to watch. And the Tigers, they are, if you're a Tigers fan, you should be pretty happy with this performance. They're pretty happy with your season now. Hasn't been the greatest of starts, but I feel like this could be a massive turnaround. West Coast barely competed. The Tigers, it was 8-45 at half time. At quarter time. You just knew at half time it was 16, 2-4, 16, 2-12, 7, 79. It was over at half time. Third quarter, the Tigers, you can just see their little staircase there, and then they just bang on the goals. As well in the last, they kick 7 in the first, 5 in the second, in the third they kick 8, in the final they kick 7. So it was not a great game, this one. And Lynch, he kicks 7 goals. Short gets 31 disposals. Lynch gets 146 fantasy. Greg Clark with the 6 tackles. Shuey with the 6 tackles. Kelly with the 6 tackles as well. So not great for the Eagles. But yeah, it didn't really have a lot of intent. They just didn't go inside 450 enough. 3 Riolis in this game though as well. So nice thing there. But again, the Tigers, 146 fantasy for Lynch, 136 for Bolton, 124 for Redden, 123 for Short, 110 for Clark, 102 for Shuey and Vlosten. But it was just a really easy win for the Tigers. 7 goals, 5 for Tom Lynch. So that's inaccurate. So he could have, well, I mean, obviously 7 goals, 5 isn't too bad, but he could have easily made that close to 10 goals. So they could have won this game by more, the Tigers, you would suggest by that. 4 goals for Josh Kennedy and Jack Revolt. 3 goals for Bolton, McIntosh and Rioli. That'll be Morris Rioli. Disposal count, 31 for Short, 30 for Bolton, only 2 getting above the 30 mark. Marks, 15 for Redden, 14 for Lynch, 10 for Witherden and Vlosten. Tackles, 6 for Shuey, Kelly, Clark. 4 for Bolton, Collier, Dawkins, and Rioli, Morris Rioli again. 25 for Diaz, for Nan Curvis, 20 for Soldo, 10 for Stranaki, something like that. And then 5 for Hugh Dixon. Just, again, was not great for the Eagles. We have a look at just a few team stats. Let's have a quick look. But Richmond, this seems to be their season back on track, I see. Now, obviously, you can't base it off the one performance. Next week, they really need to have a good crack at it as well. But they were just a better team. They were winning everything out of the middle as well. And this went inside 50. Way more marks inside 50 as well. And they led for the entire game. And West Coast, basically, they kicked their first goal. If we go back to the worm, they kicked their first goal. They kicked their first goal right there, and they looked like they could have threatened the Tigers. But at quarter time, they just had it in the bag. Half time, it was basically over, and the Eagles, they just haven't put up any great performances this year. Their best was definitely up against Collingwood, but yeah, they're not going well right now. And the Tigers, massive win. So now we went down to GMHBA Stadium for the Cats versus the Dockers. Geelong 10-6-66 were beaten by the Dockers 10-9-69. And this was an unbelievable win by the Dockers. And are they the real deal going into this year? Yes, they are. They are looking sharp at the Fremantle Dockers, and this win explains everything. So they were locked up at half-time at 31 apiece. The Cats, they did have the get-go early. They did lead at quarter-time. And then they kick one behind in the second term. The second term's quite scrappy. The Dockers only get the one goal for as well. And then in the third and fourth quarter, it is all Dockers. They just get going. And the Cats, they try and come back in the end, but they just leave it a little bit too late. And the Dockers hang on in an absolute thriller. 40 disposed for Tom Stewart, 3 goals for Tyson Stengel, 157 fantasy for Tom Stewart, 6 tackles for Tom Atkins and Brandon Parfit and Michael Walters and Ryan Myers. So plenty of players getting in for the 6 tackles. But this, I'm not sure if this is a candidate for upset of the year, but I feel like this definitely goes up there with one of the best wins. And the Dockers, they've been one of the best teams to watch. Now, you may be like, yes, they are 6-1, and yes, they have had an easier fixture in the first half. But this team is quite freakish at the moment. A lot of, well, I mean, especially knowing I have primed them in for the 8 this year, and I feel like after this performance, they should be making the 8. And the Cats, this is just a disappointing performance by them. So we'll start with AFL Fantasy, 157 for Stewart, as I said, 116 for Blitzards, 109 for Akers, 100 for Guthrie. We have a look at the goals and behinds. 3 goals for Stengel, 2 for Hawkins, Lobb and Schultz, and Stanley, Blitzards and Frederick. So plenty of players chipping in. 35 disposed for Guthrie, 28 for Brayshaw again. He's just his normal busy self, is Andrew Brayshaw. 27 for Akers, 25 for Sarong, 24 for Clark, of course, playing up against his former team, and he gets a bragging right. So nice there for Jordan Clark. If we have a look at marks, 14 for Stewart. That is a massive amount. 8 for Tucker. If we have a look at the tackles, 6 for the following that I said before. 28 hitouts for Meek, 21 for Stanley, 20 for Blitzards, and 8 for Lobb and 3 for Hawkins. But this was a massive game for the Dockers, and this is big. This is a really big confidence booster, I feel, for the rest of the year. And I feel like they can really build off this. They can really build off this heading into the rest of the year for me. And they were just good. They did enough to win the game. And that is the main thing. We have a look at marks. All the marks were in favour of the Cats, and all very tight. Both teams led for basically an equal amount. The Dockers led for a little bit more than the Cats, and they deserved the win. This one was an absolute epic, though, and the Dockers just proving to be the better team, and they get the job done. And again, as I said before, this is a massive booster for the Dockers. They have been really good this year early. I've liked the look of them. Their win against Carlton was great. And yeah, they've been really building. They've had stages where they just got away from other teams in the past, and it may not be that obvious, but you can see right in this stage was just where they just got a little bit of a gain on the Cats. They just got a little bit of a lead. Also in this period here, where they just got a little bit of a lead, and that was just enough to seal the deal. That's been the impressive thing with the Dockers this year, and they are an impressive side, looking really good. And could they really attack the top 4? We're going to have to wait and see, but the Dockers, they're going to be really good this year. This performance was great. Now, again, you can't go off just one performance, but wow, they looked good in this game, and this is a brilliant upset for the Freo Dockers. Now, on to the final game of this match reviews. We have the Crows taking on the Giants, and the Crows 8-6-54 get defeated by the Giants 17-11-113. Just like last year, the Giants, they played the same as last year, and that's what got them over the line in this contest. The Crows, they just didn't really play. They just didn't really turn up, and the Giants, after having scores in the 50s and 60s, they really come out and get a big score and keep their season alive. This game was going to be critical for them to keep their season alive, and they've done that. Toby Green, he was a real standout in this performance. For the Crows, they've been exciting this year, and they're going to have their ups and downs. We do all know that as a young, exciting team, and they've still got a way to go after this. They've still got a fair way to go before they're really setting benchmarks for the rest of the competition. But they have been looking good in those games that they've won, and every team does have their off week. But yeah, for the Crows, not great, and for the Giants, this is a massive win. And the Giants just had the momentum the whole way through, and they had a lead, whereas 80 basically at one stage, and they just sealed the deal from there and win by 59 in the end. And the Crows just, yeah, they finish off with 86-54. It's not a great score to have, but again, sometimes things just don't go your way. And the Giants, they're going to have to get a win eventually, and it is a brilliant win as well. The first quarter was dominant, 7-34. The second quarter is where they really stamped their dominance and basically sealed the deal there. It was a game over at halftime, just like the Richmond West Coast game. The third quarter, they just stamped their dominance, and in the final term as well. Even though the final term was a win for the Crows. 41 disposed for Josh Kelly, 4 goals for Toby Green, 134 fantasy for Josh Kelly, 8 tackles for Sam Berry. But yeah, the Giants, they were looking good after this performance. And this does take them. This takes them into some good stuff now. They are looking better, and this is a really important performance. 134 fantasy for Kelly, 123 for Cumming, 180 for Laird, 111 for Dawson, and 106 for 111 for Hogan, 106 for Dawson, 105 for Cornelio, and 100 for Keys. Goals behind, 4 goals for Green, 3 for Hogan, 3 for Cornelio, 3 for Whitfield. Walker, he got the 2, so did Himmelberg, but again, not great. 35 disposed for Laird, 33 for Cumming, 27 for Keys, again, he is his busy self, 24 for Dawson, and Crouch, and Ash, and Tom Green. Now we have a look at the marks. 10 for Hogan, he was really busy up forward, for the Giants, 8 for Dawson, 7 for Frampton and Green and Taylor. Tackles, 8 for Berry, 7 for Laird and Perryman, Cornelio and Cumming. Hitouts, we'll have a look at that. 34 for Bruce, 27 for O'Brien, 15 for Flynn, 3 for Himmelberg, 2 for Walker. But it was a brilliant game for the Giants. This is a really important game for them to press their case on why they can still make the finals. They can definitely still make the finals as well. I still definitely think they have it in them. Not a great start to the year, but they could definitely still make finals. Marks start 53-17. They were getting those set shots back on goal. They led the entirety of the game, and yeah, the biggest lead for the Giants was 79 points, so just pressing on the 80. And yeah, brilliant game for the GWS Giants. They really pressed though their case, and this is a really big and very important win for this team, who still have plenty of belief, and they're a great team, the Giants. Now, at the time of recording this as well, we have an absolute cracker going on at the MCG. But yeah, as I said right now, I have an absolute cracker going on at the MCG. Melbourne versus Hawthorn, 54-44. It is an exciting contest. I feel like the D's will get the job done though. Now, onto the ladder. We're going to have a look at the ladder. Melbourne still sit on top. Freo sits second. They've joined them. So if Melbourne lose, the Freo Dockers will go equal second. Equal first, sorry. Brisbane, Sydney tomorrow. Massive contest, I feel. It's going to really determine who gets the 4-point advantage. St Kilda, they got the power tonight. Massive contest. The Cats, they lost to the Dockers today, will still sit on 16. Eagerly awaiting the result of Carlton versus North Melbourne. Again, Carlton can really press their case and jump up the ladder. The Tigers, massive percentage booster over West Coast. Collingwood, they got the Suns. Massive game. Of course, the Suns can join them on 12 points, but the Pies, again, they can go up onto 16 and again attack the Cats, and if the Blues lose, attack them as well. The Hawks, big game versus the Demons right now. Again, they can jump up as well if they were to win. Adelaide, they've lost, so they'll be sitting on 12. And if the Dogs beat the Bombers, they will join them. If the Suns beat the Pies, they will also join Adelaide on 12. And if the Power get the job done over the Saints, they will go on to 8 points. And if the Roos can somehow beat the Blues, they will also go on to 8 points as well. So, really interesting rest of the round coming up, of course. We will go through that now. So, of course, Melbourne, they've just kicked away 60-44 now. So, they get a little bit of breathing space. But the Saints and the Power and Carlton versus North Melbourne tonight, big games. Collingwood versus Gold Coast tomorrow. Bulldogs versus Essendon tomorrow as well. Big games coming up. And then probably the biggest of the round, Sydney versus Brisbane. Absolute crackers there. So, thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. So, you guys will never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.